Hey, Mom Bosses! Welcome back to the Mom Boss Circle. So excited to have you here today. This week, we are going to be doing something a little different and very, very special. I am excited to be joined by one of my dear friends who is going to come and speak to us about the importance of coaching, especially on your path of success and fulfillment as a mom and as an entrepreneur. So please, I want you to give me a very, very warm Mom Boss Circle welcome to my friend Mavi. Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
We're so excited to have you here today, and we're going to give you a proper Mom Boss Circle welcome in just a minute. Go ahead and just say hello in the chat. And listen, before we dive too deep into the conversation today, I just want to remind you, please take a moment to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Set your notifications so you don't miss any of the amazing content that we have, and take a moment to also share this out with some of your friends and family members and coworkers who need this amazing information. I'm telling you that today's conversation is going to be absolutely inspiring and life-changing. So go ahead, subscribe, and share right now. We don't want them to miss anything. Okay, now that we have all the preliminaries out of the way, Mavi, thank you for spending this time with us today. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and your story so that we can, I already know, but so that everyone who's tuning in today can just understand just the amazing gems and knowledge that you're going to be able to share with us based on your really cool background. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. I am so excited to be here. When you first brought this up to me, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. But the more I thought about it and the more we've talked about it, I'm just so excited. And if anyone is wondering, yes, I do have really bad stage fright. So here we go. But anyway, my name is Mavi, which is a mashup of my full name, which is Mary Alice Fillion. I have spent probably about 25 years in the hospitality industry, and have always loved service, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit. I now work for a venture capital firm, so I spent a lot of time in the entrepreneur world. I've had different leadership roles throughout the years, and also have spent a lot of time in human resources training and development. I've had the opportunity to work in different countries around the world. I've worked in 4 different countries as well. So that gave me a real insight to some of the cultural awareness and global issues that go on. And more than anything, I am just super passionate about leadership. I've studied it. I've read about it. I believe firmly that everyone can lead from where they are. Don't wait for the title. And I'm just so excited to be with all of you today. So thank you.
I love that. Listen, Mavi is one of the coolest people that I know. Like, he just gave you a little taste of her bio, but I mean, again, her experience is just so unique. And I already know a little bit of the gems that she's going to drop today. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So you are the founder, the principal, like the woman who is Mavi Executive Coaching, right? And so tell us a little bit, like, what inspired you to become a coach?
Yeah, well, quite frankly, Camille, your husband goaded me into it. So
he's really good at that.
let's get that out there. Yeah, but before I get into that portion of the story, I think it's important to note that coaching is not the realm of HR. I think sometimes people think that of like, oh, I have to be in HR to be a coach. No. Early on, I came to believe strongly in that model of servant leadership. How do I serve those around me? How do I contribute to their flourishing? So that has always been my go-to position. And then as I pivoted at various points in my career, that has always been that consistent thread. And yes, Mr. Blanchard did goad me into it. He would say, Mavi, you are a coach. And then
he was so right.
I finally believed him. And I've started coaching friends and colleagues and perfect strangers. And it's just so exciting, because the thing about coaching is that you already have the answers. You have the power, you being the coachee. It's all within. I'm just there. I'm your companion. I'm your thought partner. I'm there to help you unlock different layers or facets I'm there to hold a safe space for you so that you can articulate, like, what is your deepest desire? What have you not maybe felt comfortable putting words to? I'm going to hold that space for you, and let you experiment and try it out. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. There's so many things that you said that really resonated with me, right? The concept of servant leadership, right? I believe that servant leaders are truly the ones that get the most out of people, right? When you position yourself to really help draw out what's already in a person, you see the value, you see the potential, you see the possibilities. Perhaps you've already walked the road that they are on, and you're able to actually guide them in a way that is fulfilling and self-empowering because of what you said. Most of the times, they already have the answer. They've got the goods inside of them. They may not know how to unpack it and how to put it all together, but that's what that coach can do.
100%. Yeah. I won't give you advice. I won't give you instructions, but I will be with you every step of the way.
Every step of the way. I love that. I love that. There are a lot of different roles that, people may have heard of. Some people may be familiar with the concept of a coach. Some people may think, I've had a mentor before, or I've had a confidant, or, Can you talk a little bit about like what's unique about, coaching, and how does that compare to some of the other relationships that people may have had in the past to try to help them to grow and to develop?
Yeah, absolutely. So I look at it as in kind of a 2x2 matrix where you have roles that are either low tell and high tell, or low ask and high ask. So when you're talking about coaching, for example, that is a very low tell, high ask relationship. A coach isn't going to tell you what to do. They are going to ask you. They are going to pull what you already know out. They're coaching you along. When you think about a sports coach, they're pulling your potential out, by being with you every step of the way. In a mentor relationship, that's more high tell, high ask. That's someone who is an expert in their field. They have been down the path, the industry, the route you're going. And so there will be a lot of high asking, but there will also be a lot of high telling. That's where the advice comes in. That's where, the instruction comes in. Now, the same person can do the same thing, but it's important to know what the role is at that time. I can be your mentor, but I can also be your coach. Then we have the supporter. Now that's a very low ask, low tell role. And that is more of the person who's they're going to have you right by their side. They have your arm around you, low tell. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to be here. I'm not going to ask you a ton of questions. There's no judgment. I'm just going to be here. I am on your team. And then there's that advisor, and the advisor is very high tell and low ask. So the advisor, think like a financial advisor. All of a sudden you realize that you have to make some financial decisions. So you go to see your financial advisor, and you are literally paying them for, to tell me what to do.
Exactly.
So they'll ask you some clarifying questions, but then they'll say, here's what you do, boom, boom, boom. So that's the advisor. Now, some of these things can pair up at times. As I said, sometimes you might be a coach supporter or a mentor advisor, but it's that low tell, high ask. And I've chosen the coach corner because I get so stinking excited when people unlock their potential and they have that aha moment and you see it, and they've had the power all along.
I love that. I love that. I love the coach role myself. It's one of the things that we do here at Mom Boss Circle, right? Because we believe in the amazingness that is in every single woman entrepreneur, aspiring mom or aspiring entrepreneur, current mom, current entrepreneur. And you're right, like seeing that aha moment, right? And I have benefited from a lot of different roles in my life. I've had coaches, I've had mentors, right? We've all got that sister friend who's just like the best A++ in the supporter realm, and that advisor as well.
Yeah, we need them all. I'm not saying one is better than the other. They all have a place. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, today we're talking specifically about coaching, right? And so I'm wondering, you and I were having a conversation beforehand about, some of the similarities between being a mom and being an entrepreneur. There's some commonalities there. And I thought what you were saying was absolutely brilliant. So can you just break down just some of those things that, are similar in our role as a mom and our role as an entrepreneur? Because I think it's just great for us to appreciate that.
Yeah, it was so funny. I had my own aha moment, as we were talking. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, moms are literally the first level entrepreneur. You want to talk about building something out of nothing.
That's right.
That's the very definition of being a mom, right? There's the problem solving, whether it's a toddler's tantrum or it's a business crisis. You've got to think quick on your feet. You've got to be creative with your solutions. There's the time management, which I know we are going to kind of dig into in a little bit, but that the multiple responsibilities, whether it's if you're negotiating school drop-offs or an investor meeting, it's those same level of skills, right? The leadership, the adaptability. No 2 days are ever the same. Every day, if you're a mom, especially a first-time mom, every day is literally the first time that you have experienced whatever is coming your way, right? So that adaptability, you've got to be able to pivot quickly. The resilience. I mean, oh my goodness. I think about the resilience of entrepreneurs, of having the door slammed in their face time after time after time, and still, or having that product launch that just flops. And with the moms, I mean, every day is an exercise in an emotional resilience. Maybe your child is struggling in school. Maybe things aren't going the way you had visioned, back in the day when you were waiting the arrival. It's like, oh, nobody told me about a day like this, right?
That's right.
And then there's always that long-term vision. Entrepreneurs have that vision of what their company is going to be. And I think every parent has that moment when they're envisioning their kid, either walking across the stage for that diploma, or getting that job for the first time, riding the bike for the first time, just hanging in there for those long-term milestones. So yeah, so much is so similar. It's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And as you were talking through it, I realized that whether you're having these successful moments as a mom or an entrepreneur, or whether you're going through times of difficulty in either role, it's really your mindset, right, that's going to help you to navigate those seasons. And I know that I've had mindsets sometimes that have just been very defeatist, right? I can't do this. It's overwhelming. I can't take it. And then I'm able to snap myself out of it and say, you know what? I can do hard things. I've done this before. I have a clear vision and I'm not going to give up, right? It's that mindset that helps to propel me forward. So I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit, just from your experience, like what are some of the mindsets and mindset shifts that can separate successful entrepreneurs from maybe those that are struggling a little bit on their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, the most important thing right off the bat are healthy habits. Like, are you taking care of your mind, body, and spirit? And that means all the things that you would think it means. Are you sleeping? Are you eating well? Are you getting exercise? Are you, going easy on the alcohol? Do you have a support circle, Camille?
Oh, come on, like the mom boss circle. I love it. That's right. It's so important, right? Support changes everything.
Are you taking care of your spirit? Do you have that person that you can call? And I want to really get across, don't fall prey to the stigma that is attached to mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of your whole self. And if you feel like, you need a therapist, if you feel like you need some medication, if I had a broken arm, everybody would know about it,
That's right.
But if I start to feel anxiety, I don't want to show weakness, well, guess what? It's all physical. So, an illness is an illness. So don't fall prey to that. So I think those are important things that I have seen help entrepreneurs, and I know help moms as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing about mental health that you said is so important, right? That just helps people in general. And I'm so grateful that we're living in a day and an age where I think some of the stigma that had existed around mental health is slowly starting to break down. So if you're in a place where you need that next level of support, definitely encourage you to get that. But if you're in the arena of just needing to find a little more oomph, right? Maybe there's just some mindset blocks that you've identified, breaking, that you need to break down, then someone like a coach can kind of help you through that process, right? So Mavi, maybe you could talk a little bit about, how you might walk someone through the process of identifying some of those mindset blocks, and beginning to break those down little by little.
Yeah. I think the first thing is just learning how to ask for and receive help. How many women just think they have to have all the answers, and they are somehow have been magically endowed with getting it right every time, and somehow asking for help along the way has become a weakness. And I'm here to say no. Asking for help, I think, is one of the strongest things that we can do. So I think that learning to how to ask and receive help, don't expect perfection out of yourself. That is a huge block. Huge, right?
Absolutely.
But do push for progress. Right? Even if it's one baby step. I've just recently, in the past year, decided my body needed some work from a health perspective. And I started out on that treadmill, and 30 minutes on the treadmill was torture, and I would be like begging for mercy. But now I'm like, and I've got that strength and that progress that I can point to. And I think, one of the mindsets I think I see with women a lot is, here's my message: stop apologizing for your very existence in the workplace.
Say that again for the people in the back, Mavi.
Stop apologizing for your very existence in the workplace. I see so many women who shoot themselves in the foot by using qualifiers in their language. Well, I kind of think this, and I sort of think that, and I feel this, and I think that. No, I know this. I am an expert in my field, and I will not apologize for it. So if you find yourself doing that, please stop.
Yeah. Right. Just right now. Just stop it. I love that. I love that. I found myself in a situation multiple times where I've caught myself doing some of those same things. And I realized that in that moment, I may have a little bit of something rising up around, imposter syndrome. And it's so real, right? And I think that that's one of the things that having a coach in the past has helped me to slowly overcome. So maybe talk to us a little bit about imposter syndrome, why it's so toxic and, just robbing us of so much, and how we can begin to overcome that.
Well, Camille, you said it exactly right. It is so toxic, and it robs us. And I see it. I don't think it's an overstretch to say it. I see it in everyone. It is just something that we do to ourselves to self-sabotage. And if you know that you are perfectly capable and you know what you're talking about, but that voice shows up, oh, you're a fraud. Say, wait a minute. What's really going on here? Look around. See what's triggering this negative self-talk. Are you comparing yourself to someone else? Because one of my favorites is the source of all unhappiness is comparison. So don't compare yourself to anybody else but you. Because there is no one else like you. And, I know that sounds like a super simple statement, but really think about what that means. No one has lived your life. No one has had your experiences. No one has had your struggles. No one knows every struggle you are going through. So just knock it off. Stop comparing yourself to other people. you want to compare yourself to anybody, compare yourself to yourself, because that's where the progress comes from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you're feeling that imposter syndrome, some of the things that I like to do, one is I go back and I read my resume.
That's a good tip. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love just going back and going, I did all that. That 20-year-old really pulled it out of the hat.
We did it.
And look, if you don't have a resume, that's okay. Write yourself a love letter. We are talking on Valentine's weekend. Write yourself a love letter. Be your favorite Valentine and congratulate yourself. You have accomplished an awful lot, and take that time to be forward looking as well. Date that congratulations letter for the end of this year, December 31st, 2025. What are you going to congratulate yourself for? What mountain will you have climbed? What will you have achieved? But when we talk about all those leadership roles of mentor and advisor and supporter and coach, you are your biggest of all of those. So
yes, good. That's so good. Yes, we have to find that way to encourage ourselves and talk ourselves up and reflect on ourselves. I love everything that you said about just really killing that spirit of comparison, because we are truly one of a kind, unique in every single way imaginable. And one of the things that I like to say in the context of thinking about entrepreneurship is that you have no competition. Many times we think that people, come in and say, oh, I'm in the same industry, I'm in the same niche, and I have all these competitors. You do not have any competition. There is no one who is better at being you and doing you than you, right? Because again, you don't have my experiences, you don't have my perspective, you don't have my creativity, my ingenuity, my ideas, the failures that I had and how I had to overcome. You're the only one who has that. And when you take that to the marketplace, there's literally no competition, right? There's no need to compare yourself to anyone. And we get in this trap, I think sometimes of, especially now in this age of social media, of looking at everybody's highlight reel that they put up there, right? I mean, I could do the Mom Boss Circle and I could show up glammed up every day with 7-course breakfast and kids doing all these things. And you are not going to see the fact that there's a pile of laundry over there on the floor, all this takeout, containers because we didn't have time to make dinner. We just have to realize that everything that we see on social media and everything that we see in the marketplace isn't real. But we don't have to compare it with ourselves, and we should never think of ourselves as an imposter. That is so amazing powerful. I love everything.
I think you might have just noticed me looking over my shoulder when you were talking, and the reason is I'm looking at what a disaster this room is. Right. Because I was like, okay. Full transparency here. I pulled that picture up from my living room because I love the image of the woman discovering out at sea. I won't even show you what's behind that. It's something cheap that I bought at a flea market, right? I have moved everything that was over here out of the way because I wanted it nice and clean. But if I were to pick you, it would be oh, Mavi, honey, take a half an hour and clean your house.
Right. Or don't, right? Which is kind of where I am, right? And I love that. So we're super transparent here in the Mom Boss Circle, right? Because again, this particular community right here, we are moms and we are entrepreneurs or aspiring to be one or the other. And let's just face it, life just does not set up in a way that is picture perfect all the time. It's rarely picture perfect. I try to make it picture perfect on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, on a couple key days out of the year. But other than that, I just believe in living a very real and a very authentic lifestyle, right? And so, that has really helped me as I've thought about my journey as a mom and as an entrepreneur. And I've tried to squash, splat the feeling of guilt that I have about living authentically in either role. And so I'm wondering if we can just talk a little bit about that. How do we live successfully, right? With this family side that's super important to us. this business and entrepreneurial side that's super important with us, and eradicate some of the nagging guilt that can be present as we lean into one or lean into the other.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there of that balance, and whether, whatever your role is in work and in life, there's always that constant. I should be paying attention to this. I should be paying attention to that. I go back to don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's from your circle at home, your circle at work. I suspect there are probably a lot of people that would be more than willing to offer help if they just knew, if they knew how. And one thing I noticed, I don't know, you and I have talked in the past that I have had cancer and I've been through chemotherapy. And one thing that I noticed that was super helpful when people would say, well, how can I help? Is I would give them a very specific answer.
Yes.
I need food to be brought in on these days, because people want to help. So giving that really super specific request, don't make people guess. And then, when you're at the workplace and, you have this other huge responsibility at home, talk to if flexible work hours don't exist, ask about it. If remote working doesn't exist, or if, it's, one way or the other, hybrid, in office, whatever it is, ask about it. Even if the policies don't exist, it will plant a seed. I have had people come to me and ask about something, and sometimes the answer is, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? Yes, let's do it. And sometimes you're actually asking something that's a bit more complicated for me to answer right now, but thank you for getting the conversation started, because the question that goes unasked will always have the answer no, right? If you don't ask the question, the answer will always be no. So, so that's one of the things that I think about for, that balance. And then, there's the old, when you're on the airplane and the flight attendant says, put your oxygen mask on first before helping anyone else. So I go back to the beginning of our conversation. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you squeezing out, even if it's 15 minutes, to just sit quietly before your day starts? If you can't get a whole gym time in, or you can't get whatever it is, are you finding ways to take care of yourself? Are you creating healthy boundaries? Because look, the guilt, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? So focus on those
boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. It will set you back, right? So the boundaries, the habits, the asking for help, the making suggestions, and the specificity of the asks.
Yeah, I love that. The being specific, right? Because there are definitely times, and people are not mind readers, right? Our spouses are not mind readers, right? I remember times I could be walking around the house, I'm moping, I'm moody, I'm like, why doesn't he just help me? Can he see that I need help? And like, this man has no idea, right, what I need or any specific way to help me. And in some cases, I might have actually, discouraged him.
Yes, it's, what, Camille, it's so funny you said that. It's so funny you said that, because my poor husband, I have trained him so well not to help me, because God love him. He wanted to be helpful, but his way of being helpful, I'm a disaster in the kitchen, right? And so I was slicing something, and I know he was afraid I was going to cut my fingers off. And so he came, but he took the knife out of my hand. And I just looked at him and I said, unless you want that knife in your chest, I think you better never do that again. And my point was, ask me if I need help. But what ended up happening is like, I'm not offering help to her anymore. Right. So now we know. Like, now he knows, like, he doesn't offer help unless I ask for it. But now I have to ask for it, and that's right. Okay. I'm fine with that. But now we understand each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so many times the ball is in our court, right? And when we ask that help, we'll be pleasantly surprised at how many people are willing and ready to lean in and help. Incredible. Again, the importance of community, Mom Boss Circle, we love it. We got to live in community. I was thinking the other thing that I've experienced in the past, and maybe some folks in Mom Boss Circle have experienced this as well. So we have this role in our home as a mom, right? Which we try to be very empathetic, very kind, very patient, very compassionate, very nurturing in that role, because we're trying to bring our kids, up in that environment. But then we also have this boss mode hat, right, that we can sometimes put on, and how we show up in a business or leadership context. And some of us may feel, I need to be direct and, powerful and assertive and, and some of those things are true, right? But maybe talk a little bit about how do we live and find the authentic, union of both of those things, right? And show up as our best selves, especially from a leadership standpoint, right? We still want to have that empathy, but we also want to make sure that we are being clear, right? When we're giving, directives that need to be followed, right? But we don't want to be overbearing. So talk a little bit about that, because I think we can sometimes feel a tension in all of these facets of our personality. How do we balance them and lead well?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And there are so many layers to that question. I think one of the first things that comes to my mind with that is that I think there is a distinction that needs to be made between emotions and empathy. And I think that, I have heard it, I think we've all heard it, oh, women are too emotional in the workplace. Maybe, maybe not. But what I think happens is that women then try to overcompensate and they go the other way, right? And they leave all of the emotion out of it. And I just kind of want to put emotion aside for a minute and say, look, we all have emotions, we male or female, you don't want to be a jerk to whoever it is that, you're speaking with. But then there's empathy. And so being wildly emotional isn't being empathetic.
That's right.
Being empathetic is really getting into that other person's shoes, and how can I serve them? How can I help them? And I don't believe empathy is a weakness. I do think over the top emotions can turn people off. So I think we do need to kind of dial it back. And if you're getting feedback like that of, oh, you're too direct or you're too whatever, I think part of going through the coaching experience is being relentlessly self-aware, right? And it's doing the work on you. Can you honestly answer in any of the situations where you may have been criticized for being too direct or being too whatever, were you maybe overcompensating? If you were, think about that. If you were not, okay, let's think about what else might have been going on. But are you doing the work on you? Are you making a conscious exploration of how you want to show up in the world? And I think that's a part of coaching. And look, whether you're a man or a woman, if you're acting like a jerk to me, I'm not gonna take it, and
That's right.
So, I think when we talk about this, women and their behavior in the workplace, are you overcompensating, because you think you have to be tough, right? Or are you maybe dialing it back, too much? And so you're coming off weaker than you need to be. And my question to you is, are you being authentic to yourself, right?
That's right.
I go back to servant leadership. What can I do for you? And if you're standing in front of someone as the boss and you are asking that question, who is not going to, respond to that, right?
That's right.
Being a boss is not about barking orders and it's how to get more out of people, right? So the people I respond to are the people who acknowledge my humanity, right? That ask me, they don't tell me, right? They acknowledge my expertise, right? And so again, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you are doing those things, I am going to respond to you,
That's right. That's right.
I don't think we have to worry about a softer tone being a weakness. I think one of my favorite definitions of leadership is John Maxwell's leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. As leaders, all we're trying to do is get people to achieve a specific goal or a specific objective. And we can either force them into it or we can welcome them on the journey.
Yeah.
I prefer the latter. And
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. And I love that you made that connection back to servant leadership, because, that ability to influence and not coerce is many times linked to how you show up in service. That empathy piece, the thinking and seeing and feeling and considering from the perspective of others and not just your own perspective. I love what you said around just the willingness to be self-aware and self-reflective, because there are many times I've walked away from situations being offended by someone's response to me, and only after considering how I showed up in the situation, able to kind of temper that, ooh, maybe they responded that way because of how I showed up first, right? And maybe I showed up that way because I was feeling insecure, or I felt disrespected in a way in the past. So I'm going to show up and make sure that I leave here with the respect that there's all kinds of things that can go into that. And having a coach that can help me to think about and ask those questions of myself and be honest with myself is what actually leads to that breakthrough and that difference in behavior. So amazing. Another reason why having a coach can be a truly transformative thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, I am by no means immune to being a jerk. So I think when you've done that self-assessment and you realize you've been a jerk, there is this philosophy in hospitality called service recovery, where if a guest stays at a hotel and they have had nothing go wrong in the entire stay, they will be satisfied. If a guest goes to a hotel and something goes wrong and the hotel staff has now had the ability to fix it and show how much they care, the guest will leave with a higher satisfaction than the guest who had nothing go wrong in the first place.
Wow.
And so I use that a lot when we're talking about relationships at work. If you screwed up, go back and apologize and make it right. And I guarantee you that relationship will be stronger for it.
That's so good. That's so good. We could stop the tape right there. That's so good, because there's so many times there are just relationships, right, that we need to go back and we need to make it right. And sometimes we're intimidated by that fact, but you're right. I'm thinking about times in my past where I've been at a restaurant, a store, a hotel, any of those things, and it went really, really wrong and did an amazing job coming back. I'm like, you know what? Yes, I would come back here, and thank you for showing me that you care. So that's wonderful nugget. One other thing that I want to talk about that is a big thing with both moms and entrepreneurs is this sense that I don't have enough time, right? The time pressure. There's so many things that are competing for my attention. I don't know how to prioritize one versus the other because they all seem really important. I need to grow my business. I need to get my house in order. I've got to do this for the kid. I've got to do this for a client. All these things. How can a coach maybe help someone wrangle all of that and come up with a clear and confident path forward when a person is feeling frazzled by all of the competing priorities and oversubscription, I think that we tend to do to ourselves.
That's a great word. I'm sorry, I'm oversubscribed. Well, first of all, learning how to say that, right? I'm sorry, I'm oversubscribed. Anne Lamott, one of my most favorite authors, says no is a complete sentence.
It's a complete sentence.
Yeah.
It stands alone.
But as far as time management goes, I often will use this visual of the jar with the big rocks and then the pebbles and the gravel and the sand. So you've got your jar, that's your day, and you're filling it up with the big rocks and the little, and then you put a little water in, and kind of identifying. I will often, say to my team, I've got a few big rocks to move this week. So, and maybe that's only moving it, for an hour out of the whole week, working on a big rock. But having enough sense of your commitments and how much time they're going to take and what should be allotted, so that if you are sitting on, waiting for a Zoom call to start and you have 5 minutes, it's like, I keep my to-do list with, this is a 30-minute task. This is an hour-long task. This is a 5-minute task. So I'm waiting for the Zoom to start. Oh, here's a 5-minute task I can knock out while I'm waiting for, someone to join the call. So I find that really helpful. And I tend to be a visual person, so I tend to like to visualize the jar with the rocks and the pebbles. Another thing is, leverage those resources around you. Again, ask for help, or say, you are so good at this and you actually enjoy it and get energy out of it. So can I please give this to you? And I will be happy to take something from you. But now we've kind of done a shift, and I'm working on something that energizes me and not sucking the life out of me. And so is my colleague, and there's one particular task that I just handed off to someone recently. We produce a lot of events, and managing that rooming list is just death for me. And I have a colleague who is genius at it. She is just genius. And so I called her this week. I'm like, here you go. And she is like, bring it on. It gives her a sense of empowerment, a sense of contribution. I get something off my plate that I hate, and that sucks the life out of me.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I go back to all the time are the habits. Create habits that are so ingrained on you that when the interruptions come, and they will, you can quickly get back on track because you have a habit of, at this time during this day, I am normally doing this. So when it all breaks loose, you can kind of go back to, okay, what's the habit? My morning habit, my morning routine, I don't even have to think about it. I just, this is what I do. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love that. The habit piece for me has been really transformative. And a lot of my habits, I like to actually time block in my calendar. So if I know that I'm going to spend time reading something or researching something or relaxing or, do it I've got my Monday things, my Friday things, my midweek things, I will put it on the calendar so that I don't slip into a behavior that I allow other things that aren't a part of my morning routine or my night routine, right? To slip into that time frame. And I do now, it's like my body has developed a expectation to do those things. My mind is now in that routine, and it certainly has helped me to prioritize. I love that. Everything you said there is just absolutely amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. So anyway, aren't you all so excited that Mavi came to join? It's just amazing. I told you all she's going to be dropping gems. She's amazing. So I just want to open up the floor before we close out. I want to open up the floor for anything else, Mavi, that you want to share with us just about the importance of finding and developing coaching relationships, or any other words of wisdom.
Yeah. Oh, well, first of all, again, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. And
so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I know we've always talked about what can we do together? What can we do together? And this is so exciting. So thank you for this. And thank you for the Mom Boss Circle. I can't wait to see where that goes. But, talking about coaching, I think people might be, well, what do I actually need a coach for? Like what? And I mean, it can be anything from working through work-life balance, or I have a skill that I want to work on. I need somebody to role play with me because I have this difficult conversation coming up and I'm not a very good public speaker. Okay, let's work on that. I've been told I need executive presence. What does that mean? How can we unlock that? Maybe it's goal setting. Right now, look, we are in a period of change in the world where a lot of people are pivoting in their work life. So And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I have so many decisions to make, or I have so many, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to start. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's sit down together and let's work through this, So those are some of the things that people come to me for coaching. But it's having that safe space to just articulate whatever comes to mind. I take confidentiality so seriously that,
yes.
I really want people to know that it is in the vault when they talk to me.
That's right.
That we are, you are in a safe space. You can say whatever is on your mind. You can try out things. You can ask questions. You can maybe say the thing that it's not polite to say in proper company.
Yeah.
So
That's right. Yeah, I love that. And we didn't get a chance to touch on this in this conversation, so we'll have to have you back again. But, I think what you said, it's always touches my heart when we talk about trust. And we mentioned circles of trust at the beginning, right? And these safe spaces, because there are so many times in our role, in many of the roles that we have, but, our role as mom, our role as boss, our role, that we feel like I may not have the trust, or there's a certain kind of wall, I think sometimes that we put up, and or this may not be as safe of a space, or I have to only show up in a particular way, but we need spaces in our life where we can just let it all hang out, so to speak, right? Like to be like truly transparent and be free of judgment, right? Because it's in those moments of transparency, like when you do have that circle of trust, that safe space, that you can get all the stuff out so that you can actually deal with get to the root of something. If you need to grow in a particular area, if you need to be pushed or stretched, if you need to heal from a past hurt or a pain, all those things are made possible when you have environments where there is safety, where there is trust, where there is transparency, there's authenticity. And so, a coaching relationship is one of those environments, right, where you have that little bit of cocoon of safety to really take advantage of all those benefits and have the breakthroughs that come with that kind of relationship. So.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned the no judgment, because I did not. And the no judgment zone is super, super important. And that is one of the key tenets in my coaching is confidentiality, no judgment.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Well, I've learned so much. I've been inspired so much by this conversation. Go ahead and drop some fire emojis or put some hearts in the chat. If you also just feel like you've gotten so much out of this session with Mavi, who's absolutely amazing and brilliant and inspiring. And I actually have some really good news. So on March the 29th, we are going to be having our very first live event for Mom Boss Circle. I'm really, really excited about all the things that are going to be happening. And for those that register and participate in the event, Mavi is one of your bonuses. Isn't that great? Okay. We're going to be able to offer sessions with Mavi for some coaching, right? And it's going to be included in your registration fee. So you will get some time with her to sit down, to talk, and again, experience some of the benefits that we've talked about on today's call. And then hopefully maybe even cultivate an ongoing coaching relationship with her. We have some other coaching programs with Mom Boss Circle. So you're just going to be surrounded by a group of women that are cheering you on, right? We are in your corner, and we are committed to walking with you and leading you down the path of self-discovery so you can become exactly who you were created to be. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Mavi, for offering that bonus to the folks that are coming to the Mom Boss Circle event at the end of March. I know that's going to be really, really transformative. So amazing. All right. So we've gotten to know a lot of the amazing things that Mavi knows. I've got a couple of really quick, just for fun, a couple of rapid fire questions to close us out. Mavi, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
We're going to put you on the spot. Okay. So I love books. Actually, right on the other side over here, I'm looking at my library full of books. But what is one book that you believe every entrepreneur should read?
I love Unreasonable Hospitality. I think that we can never be too hospitable. And as you build the culture of your organization, I believe if hospitality is infused in that, whatever the topic of the business is, I think it will be a successful business.
I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. What is one daily habit that changed your life?
Ooh. Well, I am a fan of habits.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I would say the overarching habit that I have infused in my life is gratitude, for the good, the bad, and the ugly. No matter how good it is or how bad it is, thank you for this. Thank you for the fact that I am alive to experience it. And thank you for what I'm learning from it. So, and a salad for lunch every day.
I love that. It's interesting. I heard this amazing fact from a neuroscientific standpoint that it is impossible for fear and anxiety and gratitude to coexist. Like there's the whole scientific study that was done about it. Like literally it's incapable for biologically for you to host fear and anxiety and gratitude at the same time. So if you want to kick fear and anxiety out the door, try practicing some gratitude. I love that, Mavi. It's probably why that's your favorite habit.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yes. Okay, beautiful. All right, I got one more for you. What is the best advice you have ever received as a business leader?
Ooh, I am going to say that this is actually my mantra for 2025. Don't let the urgent hold the important hostage. Don't let the urgent hold the important hostage. Don't get swept away in all the and let that really important thing just sit there.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I just can think about all the times that the urgent has held my important hostage, and how I've also, I think, made a shift to the late part of 2024 to 2025 to be intentional, right? It's about those big rocks, right? Get those important things in there. The rest will fall in place. I love that. Okay. What's one thing that our mom entrepreneurs should stop doing right now?
Well, we touched on this earlier, but I am going to say stop comparing yourself to anyone else but yourself.
Oh, yes.
Just stop that. You deserve better. You are fabulous and you deserve better.
Yes. I love that. I love it. Exactly. I'm going to they used to have those red easy buttons, right? We're going to get one of those stop it buttons, right? When comparison tries to come up, just stop that right there. I love that. All right. Here is the last one for you. If you had to describe your coaching style in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
I am candid. So strap in. But I am collaborative. Okay. We are in this together. And I try to fill the space with grace. We are all a hot mess and we're just hanging on for dear life. And so there is a lot of grace in my interactions.
I love that. We all need more grace in our lives, and I truly believe that when we give grace, we receive grace. So yes, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful note to end on. Mavi, this has been absolutely amazing. You are a joy and a delight to share a virtual room with. Even more fun if you could get her live and in person, which I hope to see you again real soon. But again, thank you so much for spending this time. One more time, Mom Boss Circle, just clap it up for Mavi. All right. We're going to get to hear more from her in the future. Like I said, if you are registering for our event on March 29th, she is going to be one of your bonuses that you'll get, which is absolutely priceless. So once again, before we close out today, if you have not already, you just saw what you are going to be able to receive, right? Knowledge and inspiration. Please, again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Set your notifications. We are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Share this with somebody who could really benefit from it, and we will see you on the flip side.
Bye, honey.
Bye.